All right. I got a second story for you guys here. All right. So this one,
I did not
it's
put
about
narcotics here.
let me pause this real quick. So this one is about a cop who actually the victims do get justice in this one. This is what accountability looks like. This cop right here, he went years planting drugs on people. This wasn't just a one-off or two-off like the last guy. This one right here, this guy, he planted drugs on people for years, and finally it caught up to him. All right, let's check this one out.
First up, we head to Jackson County, Florida, for the trial of Zachary Wester. The former sheriff's deputy was charged with 67 counts of racketeering, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, and possession.
Wow, look at this. This right here is what you call a rap sheet right here. Look at this. 67 counts of racketeering, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, possession of controlled substance. If a regular citizen do half of this, if you do half of this right here, 67 counts. If you do even two of these, you will be in prison for a long, long time. But this guy, they're probably going to give him a slap on the wrist too, just like the last guy. This is ridiculous. How are police officers always getting away with BS like this?
Of controlled substances. Wester's accused of planting drugs in a dozen vehicles during random traffic stops.
A substance that appears to be an illegal narcotic. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
All of the drivers denied owning the drugs, but yet most were subsequently arrested.
You have the right to remain silent.
The arrest caused suspicion internally, and in 2018, Wester was suspended. 3 years later, the case went to trial. He pleaded not guilty to all charges.
This is a case about an abuse of an incredible power, about the abuse of the incredible trust that we all put, and we have to put, in law enforcement in a society.
The prosecution relied on the defendant's own body cam footage to help argue their case. Stephen Van, a convicted felon, had recently gotten out of jail when Wester supposedly found methamphetamine in his car.
Have you ever seen this before?
No, what is that?
I'm just trying to figure out how that stuff got in your car.
Well, I'll tell you how it got in his car. It got in his car because you are a crooked cop who planted the stuff in his car. How are these people just riding around with drugs in their police patrol vehicle? That's one question that I really want to know. If these people are riding around every day in their police patrol vehicle and they are being convicted and they are being found out every time, we see the body cams every time, and these people, we see this all the time. And the police chief is still not releasing these people, which means the police chief is complicit in this whole situation. The police chief, if any of these, if this right here become something that happens all the time, this right here becomes normalized, and this shouldn't be normalized because the police chief should be fired whenever, if this happens over and over and over and over again, by the third time, I would be like, okay, if I was the mayor in that city, and the mayor, not only is the police chief complicit in this whole situation, the mayor is complicit because the mayor is supposed to know what is going on in his or her city. And these people are just letting this goofy behavior to continue. All of them should be fired.
You're going to go to jail today for possession of methamphetamine, okay?
Oh man, dude, I'm serious, dude. Anything, what you want me to do, man?
Like the other drivers who testified, Van gave the officer permission to search his car because he claims he had nothing to hide.
And I knew my truck was clean. I knew it was.
Exactly. You should never consent for the freaking police to search your car. There's zero circumstances where you should be allowing the police to search your car. And these people will try to make you feel bad and be like, if you have nothing to hide, why don't you just let us to search your vehicle? If I have nothing to hide, why are you trying so hard to search my vehicle? Maybe you have an ulterior motives, and that is exactly why I don't have to let you search my vehicle. The Fourth Amendment literally says that you don't have to let the police to search your vehicle. Why are people allowing this goofy behavior to happen? Because people don't know their rights. And the sooner people start realizing that they can flat out refuse for the police to search them, the sooner that less of this will be happening, because people allow this and the police take advantage of it, because half of the time, or about, let's say 70% of the time, people are not even going to question. These people are just going to be like, hey, go ahead and search my vehicle. Like this guy just said, I have nothing to hide, so you can just go ahead and search me. Why would you allow the police to search you when you know this is what they are capable of doing? And this is not a one-off thing or something that recently started happening. This is something that's been happening for a long time. The police are literally not trustworthy. Everything they do, from the moment that they pull you over or from the moment that they detain you, their whole thing is to get you arrested or give you a ticket if you get pulled over. So the police are literally not your friend. I don't care what you say. Unless you're the police in your family, obviously, then you probably have no choice but to love the person because they are family. But the police, if you encounter someone that is a police officer in public, you should just automatically assume that the person is not your friend, and the person is probably never going to be your friend unless you meet them outside of the uniform. Because when they pull you over or when they detain you in uniform, your whole goal is to keep your mouth shut and try to end that interaction as soon as possible, because these people are only interested in taking you to jail or giving you a ticket. And this right here, there is no way that it ends well for you. So you should never talk to the police, and you should never let them search you or your vehicle or your personal belonging in any way, shape, or form. You should terminate the interaction. You should be asking them, am I free to go? Am I free to go? And if they tell you that you're not free to go, ask them, what am I being detained for? And this is an unlawful detainment. If you have not done anything wrong, tell them this is an unlawful detainment and I do not consent to this encounter. And you should be trying to terminate that encounter as soon as possible.
While the jury got to watch most of the traffic stops, some recordings had mysteriously disappeared.
Why in the world would that have been deleted?
I wish I knew that answer.
Ironically, body cam footage would become the strongest element in the prosecution's case, especially when it came to Teresa Odom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
At first, the officer's polite, even playful.
Anything in the vehicle I need to be concerned about? Bombs, hand grenades, rocket launchers? Okay.
While Odom stands behind the vehicle, Wester begins his search. Notice as he prepares to put his gloves on, there's a small item in his left hand. Prosecutors argue that Wester is palming a small bag of meth, which he claims to find next to a spoon in the vehicle.
Miss Odom.
It is yogurt, sir.
I know. Okay.
It's yogurt.
How about this, though?
That is not mine. No, sir.
Okay.
Now, the white small plastic baggie that was in that spoon that the deputy just showed you on this video, had you ever seen that before?
No, sir.
Was that in your car?
No, sir.
As far as motive, the prosecution claims the 28-year-old officer was ambitious and wanted to move to narcotics as quickly as possible.
I told you earlier, this is literally the reason right here why these people are planning drugs on people, because they want to get promoted, they want to move up, and they are planning drugs on people. You should never, under any circumstances in your freaking life, allow the police to search your vehicle, because these people, you can never trust them. They will plant something in your car and have you convinced that you put it in your car. And meanwhile, now you gotta hire a lawyer, you gotta go through hoops just to get this off your record, because you're gonna get arrested for sure, and then you're gonna get charged for drug possession, and now you're gonna have this on your record for freaking 5 to 10 years. And all of this right here could have been avoided if you could have just said no to allowing the police to search your vehicle. You should never allow the police to search your car in under any circumstances at all.
Wester testified he never planted any drugs.
The drugs were there. I did not put the narcotics there.
And after 5 days and several witnesses, the jury was asked to render a verdict. If Wester's found guilty on all charges, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. After 7 hours, the jury returns with its verdict.
In the state of Florida versus Zachary.
And this is crazy though, how the police can lie on the oath and half of the time nothing happens to them. But if a citizen lies under oath, the person goes to prison. How in the world can the police lie under oath and lie to the citizens? But the citizens are not allowed to lie to the police, and they are not allowed to lie in court. If the police can lie to the citizens and lie in court, the citizens should have the same rights to lie to the police. And I'm not telling you to lie, but there is something called lying by omission. You literally don't have to talk. You don't have to tell them the truth. And if you don't talk, you are technically not lying, because if you don't answer the question or if you withhold the truth, you are technically not lying, because you're not lying by not talking, right? And if these people can lie, the citizens should be allowed to reciprocate it and lie to the police also, because these people lie under oath every day. Like we saw right now, he's literally in court and talking about that he didn't do it. He didn't plan the drugs when we just saw it on video. How did you not plan the drugs when we just saw you planting the drugs on the freaking innocent people, and you're here lying about it, looking like a goofy person? And now let's see what the verdict is going to be, if this guy is finally going to be held accountable, because the last two police officers, they just let him go without putting anything on them. And this right here is ridiculous. And the citizens, this right here will not continue for too long. If people finally wake up and be like, hey, we're not going to put up with this. If a police officer plants drugs on citizens, that person must go to prison. And people have to stand on that.
Tyler Wester, we the jury find as follows as to the counts charged and the information. Count 1, guilty of racketeering as charged.
The clerk went on to read the verdicts on all 67 charges.
Count 7, guilty of official misconduct as charged.
In total, the crooked officer was found guilty on 19 charges.
Count 9, guilty of official misconduct as charged. Count 10, guilty of official misconduct as charged.
Including misconduct in the arrests of Van and Teresa Odom. 11 of the 12 drivers filed civil lawsuits against Wester. In July 2021, he was sentenced to 12 and a half years in a state prison.
Finally, we get some kind of justice. How are these people gonna keep getting away with this all the time, and the citizens have no rights in these instances? All right. With that being said, this is my monologue on crooked cops. And this monologue is called No Room for Dirty Cops. Let me tell you something straight up. What we just watched isn't just shocking, it's disgusting. It's a betrayal on the badge, the oath, and the trust that the public places in the police officers every single day. Planting drugs on innocent citizens is not a mistake. It's not a lapse in judgment. It's a calculated, premeditated crime, and it should be treated as crime. And the fact that some of these officers are allowed to return to work with no consequences, like we saw with the first two officers who planted drugs on people and then were permitted to go back to work with no consequences at all. This right here should tell us that we all should rise up and hold the police accountable every time they plant drugs on people. And the fact that some of these people are allowed to go back to work, that's the real crime against justice. Let's break it down. When a cop plants drugs, they aren't just framing people, they are destroying lives. And think about it, a false arrest can lead to job loss, a criminal record, shattered families, and years of fighting a system that wasn't designed to believe you in the first place. These people believe the police before they believe you, but it doesn't stop there. Every single time an officer plants drugs, they undermine the credibility of every good cop out there. They poison the well of trust between law enforcement and the community. And trust, once it's gone, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. Now, let's talk about consequences. If you are an officer sworn to uphold the law and you break the law by planting drugs on people, especially by planting evidence that shouldn't be there to begin with, you shouldn't just be fired. You shouldn't just get a slap on the wrist. You need to face the same justice you try to deny someone else. That means prison time. That means a permanent record, no pension, no second chance to ruin someone else's life, like we saw in the video time and time after again. Accountability isn't optional. We need independent investigation when accusation like this arises, not internal reviews when officers protect their own. This is like saying, I'm going to investigate myself and I'm going to find that I did nothing wrong. How can you expect the same people who planted drugs on people to investigate themselves and expect them to persecute themselves? This is ridiculous. We need body cams that don't mysteriously malfunction at critical moments. And most importantly, we need laws with teeth, laws that make it clear if you plant evidence, if you plant drugs on citizens, you will be held accountable. And these police officers shouldn't be held on a different standard than the citizens should be held. Because if we don't hold these police officers accountable, this will keep happening. Innocent people will keep going to jail for drugs that the police officers planted on them. Families will keep getting torn apart. Communities will keep losing faith on the police officers. And that's not just a problem, it's a crisis. So let me be clear, there is no room in law enforcement for dirty cops. Zero. None. And it's up to us, every single one of us, the public, to demand better from the police officers who patrol our street. If they plant drugs on people, they should be locked up and there should be no excuses on that. We need to demand better, to demand transparency, to demand justice, because when the system fails, we have to hold it accountable. We have to hold all of these police officers and the elected officials accountable because we are the citizens who pay their salary. This isn't just about Zachary, the crooked police officer who kept planting drugs on people until they finally caught up to him, or the victims in these videos. It's about every person out there who believes in a fair system. It's about making sure no one else has their life destroyed by those who we're supposed to protect them. Justice isn't when it's only for the privileged few. It's time to clean house. And it starts by sending a message. Planting drugs isn't just misconduct, it's a crime. And it ends now. And we, the citizens, need to demand accountability from the police officers. If a police officer plant drug on a citizen, we need to demand that that police officer be locked up in a long time. There is zero excuses and there is zero reason why a police officer should be riding around in a police cruiser planting drugs on citizens. And these people want to get promoted, and they want to get promoted not by doing their work and earning the promotion. They want to get promoted by planting drugs on people. When they get a whole freaking rap sheet of people going to prison and their lives getting destroyed, these people get promoted by doing the wrong things. And they not only should the police officers who plant drugs on people should be arrested and charged and go to prison, the freaking police chiefs who are allowing these freaking goofy behaviors to happen should be charged also. Because there is no way that a police chief who sees this happening, seeing his officers plant drugs on people, the evidence comes out and this freaking police chief tell his officers to go right back to duty with no freaking discipline at all. These freaking police chiefs should be charged also because they are complicit in this whole situation. And the citizens should not stand for this. We will not stand for this, and we should demand that these people be charged and they should go to prison for planting drugs on people. This is literally a crime. How can the citizens let this to keep going on year after year, decade after decade, and nobody ever does anything about this? And if you ever get pulled over, there is zero reason why you should be allowing the police officers to search your car. You literally have the Fourth Amendment to protect you from these crooked people who want to plant drugs on you. And if you trust a police officer, you are part of the problem. If you think that this person in uniform, unless this person is explicitly there for a particular reason, which doesn't have to do with a traffic stop, you should never allow the police to search your car. And you should never allow the police to search you, because allowing police officers to search you leads to them planting drugs on you. And you should leave zero rooms for these goofy behaviors to happen in the first place. All right. Thank you all for watching. As you can tell, I'm literally mad for these people in these videos that we just saw, because these people, their lives are going to be destroyed, and now they're going to have to spend thousands of dollars just to get a good lawyer to expunge all of these charges that's been brought on them now. And this will follow them for years. Every time these people get a job, they're going to have to write a sworn statement talking about why did you have drugs in your car. When these people didn't have drugs in their car, these people, police officers, are planting drugs in them, and they are getting away with it. And it's about time that the citizens rise up and say any police officer who planned drugs on people should be arrested, should be charged, and that person, that police officer, should go to prison. And there is zero accountability because they think they are above the law, and the citizens need to rise up and let them know that they are not above the law. There are good cops out there, but we have to get to a place where the good cops challenge the bad cops who are planting drugs on citizens to begin with. All right, as you can tell, I am literally, my blood is almost boiling for these people who didn't do anything wrong, but it's freaking police officers are planting drugs on them. All right, thank you all for watching. I am Ben. This is Ben Speaks TV. Subscribe to the channel, and you will see the next time I go live, and I will keep covering topics like this, and your likes and subscription will motivate me to keep making videos like this. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace. And never let a police officer to search your car.